The ship shook as it landed on the gray surface of asteroid KX-927. Dr. Elaine Foster checked her equipment one last time before putting on her helmet. This was her 5th dig this year, and so far they had found nothing special. Just the usual space junk and rock samples. "System check complete, Doctor," said Peter Martinez from his control station. The AI's voice was calm and steady like always. "Oxygen levels are good. You have 6 hours before you need to return." Elaine nodded. "Thanks, Peter. Greg, are you ready?" Greg Nichols, her blue-skinned Arcturian assistant, gave a thumbs up. "Ready as I'll ever be. Not sure what we expect to find on this rock that's different from the last 10 we visited." "Science is about looking even when you don't expect to find anything," Elaine said with a smile. "That's when we make the best discoveries." The airlock opened with a hiss and the team stepped onto the asteroid. Their magnetic boots kept them from floating away into the endless black of space. The star system's distant sun cast long shadows across the rocky surface. Greg checked his scanner. "I'm picking up some metal readings about 300 meters, that way." He pointed toward a small crater ahead. "Let's check it out," Elaine said. They walked slowly, careful with each step. Small rocks and dust floated up with every footfall, hanging in the low gravity before settling back down. The universe stretched out above them, stars shining bright against the blackness. "You know what today is?" Greg asked as they walked. "Tuesday?" Elaine joked. "It's the anniversary," Greg said. 336 years since the last human died. Daniel Wright, age 103, on New Mars colony. Elaine nodded. Everyone in the Galactic Commonwealth knew that date, the day humanity officially went extinct. Hard to believe an entire species just disappeared. Not disappeared, died out. "There's a difference," Greg said. The Terran collapse was well documented, environmental disaster followed by war, disease, and finally just not enough of them left to keep going. The last few were mostly very old. "I know the history," Elaine said. "I just find it sad. Imagine being the last of your kind." They reached the crater rim and looked down. At first it seemed empty like all the others, just rocks and dust. But then Elaine spotted something reflecting light at the bottom. "There," she pointed. "See that shine?" They made their way down the crater wall carefully. As they got closer, Elaine's heart began to beat faster. This wasn't just random space junk, it was too regular in shape, too purposeful in design. "It's a pod of some kind," Greg said, his voice showing rare excitement. "Military grade by the look of it." The object was partly buried in the crater floor. It was about 2 meters long and 1 meter wide with a curved top. Most of its surface was covered in dust, but where Greg had brushed some away, they could see it was made of a dark metal with faint markings. "Peter, are you getting this?" Elaine asked over the comm. "Yes, Doctor," the AI replied. "Analyzing visual feed now. The object appears to be a stasis pod consistent with Commonwealth military designs from approximately 500 years ago. Ian. "You identify it?" Elaine asked, brushing more dust from the surface. "Working," Peter said. "Strange. The identifying markers appear to have been deliberately obscured." Elaine found what looked like a control panel. To her surprise, when she wiped away the dust, small lights blinked weakly on its surface. "It's still powered," she said in disbelief. "After all this time?" "That's impossible," Greg said, moving closer. "Nothing keeps power that long, especially not in deep space conditions." Elaine studied the panel. "These markings, they're in Old Earth English." "Human?" Greg asked, his voice dropping to a whisper despite no one being able to hear them in the vacuum of space. "It would seem so," Elaine said. "But that doesn't make sense. The Commonwealth salvaged all human technology centuries ago." She pressed a button on the panel, not really expecting anything to happen. To her shock, the panel lit up fully, displaying a sequence of symbols she didn't recognize. "Peter, can you translate this?" she asked. "It appears to be a security protocol." "Doctor," Peter replied after a moment. "Military-grade encryption, Commonwealth standard, but with modifications I'm not familiar with." Greg put his hand on the pod's surface. If this is a stasis pod, and it still has power after all this time. Elaine finished his thought. Then there might be something, or someone, inside. The odds of anything surviving in there for centuries are astronomically low, Greg said, but he sounded uncertain. We need to get this back to the ship, Elaine decided. Peter, prepare the cargo hold and alert Commonwealth Science Division that we've found something significant. Doctor? Peter's voice came through with an unusual tone. I'm detecting an energy surge from the pod. Before they could react, the panel on the pod flashed bright red. A high-pitched sound filled their helmets, and the ground beneath them trembled. What's happening? Greg shouted. I don't know. Elaine tried to step back but found herself unable to move. A force she couldn't see held her in place. The pod's top surface began to glow with symbols that appeared to burn through the metal itself. English letters forming words. Phoenix Protocol activated security measures engaged retrieval sequence initiated. Peter, get us out of here, Elaine called desperately. I cannot, Doctor. Peter's voice came through with static. The ship's systems are being overridden by an unknown signal. It's coming from the pod. The top of the pod split open with a hiss, releasing a cloud of mist that hung in the low gravity. Through the fog, Elaine saw something move inside. That's not possible, Greg whispered. A hand reached out from inside the pod. A human hand. Back on the ship, all screens suddenly displayed the same message. Humanity isn't dead. We're just waiting. Elaine stared in shock as a figure rose from the pod. Despite centuries of scientific knowledge telling her it was impossible, she was looking at what appeared to be a human being, alive and conscious after centuries when humanity was thought extinct. The last thing she remembered before losing consciousness was the figure stepping fully out of the pod. A man in what looked like military uniform, his eyes scanning the stars above, as if searching for something only he could see. Her last thought before darkness took her. Everything the Commonwealth knew about the fate of humanity might be wrong. Alan Jackson frowned at the screen. The Commonwealth Security Director had received many odd reports during his 50 years of service, but this one made him uneasy. The GCS horizon has gone dark, said his assistant, a tall Centaurian named Vex. No communications for 26 hours. Their last transmission mentioned finding an artifact on asteroid KX-927. What kind of artifact? Jackson asked. Unknown. Dr. Foster's team was examining it when communication stopped. Jackson pulled up the Horizons file. A research vessel with a crew of 3, Dr. Elaine Foster, her assistant Greg Nichols, and a sentient AI named Peter. Martinez. Get Captain Freeman on this, Jackson ordered. Tell her to take the Sentinel and find out what happened. 6 hours later, Lisa Freeman guided her ship toward the last known coordinates of the horizon. Freeman had served in Commonwealth security for 15 years. She had seen strange things in deep space, but rarely did ships simply go dark. There it is, said her pilot, Joe Baker. The horizon, just floating there. The research vessel drifted, silently against the backdrop of stars. No lights, no movement, but sensors showed life support was still functioning. Any response to our hails? Freeman asked. None, replied Olivia Kim, the communications officer. But sensors show 3 life forms aboard, all unconscious but alive. Freeman decided to board the ship with a small team. She selected Olivia and 2 security officers, Frank Wilson and Diana Rogers. They docked with the horizon and made their way inside. The ship was eerily quiet, emergency lights casting red shadows across the corridors. Life signs are coming from the main lab, Diana said, checking her scanner. They found Dr. Foster and her team lying unconscious on the lab floor. Medical scans showed they were in some kind of induced sleep state. What happened here? Freeman wondered aloud. Then she saw it. An open stasis pod in the center of the lab. Empty, Frank noted, examining the pod. But it was occupied recently. The ship's logs might tell us something, Freeman said. She went to the main console and began searching through the records. The last entry from Dr. Foster showed the team discovering the pod on the asteroid surface. The pod had Commonwealth military markings, but with modifications they couldn't identify. When they brought it aboard and tried to examine it, The ship's systems were suddenly locked down by an unknown protocol. Freeman found security footage and played it back. The video showed Foster and Nichols bringing the pod aboard. Later, Foster accessed the pod's systems, triggering some kind of security response. Then the pod opened. Freeman leaned closer to the screen. The footage showed a figure emerging from the pod, a male, humanoid in appearance. The being moved through the ship with purpose, accessing data terminals and eventually making his way to the hangar bay. "He took their scout vessel," Olivia said, watching over Freeman's shoulder. Is that a human?" Diana asked in disbelief. "Impossible," Frank said. "Humans have been extinct for over 3 centuries. Freeman wasn't so sure. She'd studied enough history to know the being on the screen moved exactly like the humans in old records. A groan from behind them interrupted their discussion. Dr. Foster was waking up. "Doctor, can you hear me?" Freeman knelt beside the xenoarchaeologist. "I'm Captain Lisa Freeman, Commonwealth Security." Foster's eyes fluttered open. "The pod, where is it?" "It's here, but empty," Freeman explained. "What happened, Doctor? Who was inside it?" Foster sat up slowly, her hand on her head. "He said his name was Commander William Carter. Said he was from Earth's Deep Space Initiative." "That's not possible," Frank said. "That organization hasn't existed for 500 years. "I know what he told me," Foster insisted. "He asked what year it was. When I told him, he seemed satisfied, like he was exactly where he expected to be." Greg Nichols was waking up now too. "He did something to the ship's systems. Put us to sleep somehow. We need to run a genetic scan on any trace material left in that pod," Freeman said. "If this being is claiming to be human, we need to know if that's true." The ship's medical officer, Dr. Paul Young, arrived an hour later and collected samples from the pod. His findings stunned everyone. "The genetic markers are human," Dr. Young reported, "but with modifications I've never seen before. The DNA structure has been altered in ways that shouldn't be possible based on what we know of human genetic science." "Could it be a fake?" Freeman asked. "Some kind of biological weapon designed to look human?" "Possible," Dr. Young admitted. "But why go to such lengths? And these modifications aren't random. They're purposeful, designed to enhance human survival in space conditions." Security Director Jackson joined their meeting via hologram. His expression was grave as he listened to their report. "This incident is now classified at the highest level," Jackson ordered. "No one discusses what you found with anyone outside this group. We need to locate that missing scout vessel." After the meeting, Freeman found Dr. Foster in the lab, still examining the pod. "You don't think this is a hoax, do you?" Freeman asked her. Foster shook her head. "I spoke to him, Captain. Brief as it was, there was something authentic about him. And this pod? It was designed to keep someone alive for centuries. The technology is beyond anything we have now." "If humans didn't go extinct," Freeman began. "Then where have they been all this time?" Foster finished. "And why let the galaxy think they died out?" "Whatever the truth is," Freeman said, "I have orders to find this Commander Carter and bring him in." "And if he doesn't want to be found?" Foster asked. Freeman didn't answer. The question that troubled her more was one she couldn't share. What if Carter wasn't the only human left? Back in his office, Director Jackson pulled up ancient files that few in the Commonwealth had access to. Historical records from before the Terran collapse. There had always been rumors, conspiracy theories really, that some humans had escaped their fate. That a group had gone into deep space beyond Commonwealth borders. Jackson had never given those stories much credit, until now. On his screen was an old photograph from Earth's final days, a military project called Phoenix Protocol. Most details were lost to time, but one line in the file made Jackson's blood run cold. "In the event of extinction-level threat to humanity, selected individuals to undergo preparation for extended survival away from known space." He closed the file and stared out at the stars. If humans had somehow survived in secret all these centuries, what did that mean for the Commonwealth? And more importantly, why reveal themselves now? Captain Lisa Freeman stood before the Commonwealth Security Council, composed of representatives from 12 different species. The large meeting room was silent as she finished her report. "So the being who called himself William Carter has disappeared with a scout vessel," said Counselor Zarn, a reptilian draconid with deep green scales. "And you believe he may actually be human?" "The genetic evidence supports it," Freeman replied. "Though with significant modifications. This could be an elaborate hoax," suggested Counselor Vela, her 6 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of skepticism among her kind. Director Jackson stepped forward. "Hoax or not, we need to find this individual. I propose forming a specialized team led by Captain Freeman." The council approved the proposal after brief discussion. Within hours, Freeman was selecting her team members in Jackson's office. "Want Samantha Wells," Freeman said, pulling up the file of a tactical specialist. "She's written papers on pre-collapse human military doctrine. If we're tracking someone who thinks like a human, she'll be valuable." Jackson nodded. "Good choice. Who else?" "Kevin Brooks. He's an anthropologist specializing in Terran history." "Anyone from the original expedition?" Jackson asked. "Dr. Foster. She spoke with Carter directly. She might notice things others would miss." 3 days later, the team gathered aboard the CSS Pursuit, a sleek vessel designed for tracking missions. Freeman briefed them in the ship's conference room. "Our target has a 12-day head start," she explained. "The scout vessel he took has limited range, so he must have had a destination in mind." Wells studied the star charts. "If I were him, I'd head for the outer territories where Commonwealth presence is minimal." "The scout vessel's tracking beacon was disabled," Freeman said, "but all Commonwealth vessels leave plasma trails that we can follow for up to 2 weeks. "Captain," the ship's AI announced, "we're receiving an alert from Commonwealth Central. There's been a system breach in the historical archives on Proxima Station." Freeman frowned. "What was accessed?" "Records relating to Earth and human colonies. Specifically, maps of the old Sol system." Brooks leaned forward. "The Sol system? That's been restricted space for centuries. Nothing there but ruins and radiation." "Plot a course for the Sol system," Freeman ordered. "It's a starting point at least." As they prepared to depart, another alert came through. Similar breaches were reported in defense networks and transportation grids across Commonwealth space. "It's the same access signature," Wells confirmed, studying the data. "But these aren't random hacks. Each breach leaves behind a fragment of data." "A message?" Freeman asked. Wells nodded. "Coordinates. And words. We're still here." "We're dealing with more than one individual," Freeman realized. "Carter has help." The pursuit tracked the scout vessel's trail to the edge of the Sol system, where it vanished near Neptune. They entered the restricted zone cautiously. The blue planet loomed large on their view screens, its many moons orbiting silently. "I'm detecting residual engine signatures near Triton," reported Eric Russell, the ship's navigator. "The scout vessel was there recently." Triton, Neptune's largest moon, had once housed a human mining facility. As they approached, they saw the abandoned structures on the moon's surface preserved in the airless environment. "The scout vessel is there," Russell said, pointing to a landing pad outside the main facility. "Powered down but intact." Freeman led a team to the surface. The mining facility was dark and silent, its corridors filled with the ghosts of a long-dead civilization. Their helmet lights cast long shadows as they moved through the abandoned complex. "The airlock has been recently used," Wells noted, examining the control panel. "Multiple times." "Spread out," Freeman ordered. "Look for any signs of our visitor." They searched the facility room by room. In what once had been the control center, Brooks made a discovery. "Captain, look at this," he called. "The main computer has been activated." The ancient terminal displayed information in Old Earth English. Brooks translated as he scrolled through the files. "It's accessing old communication networks, testing frequencies that haven't been used in centuries." "Why come here?" Freeman wondered aloud. "It's a relay point," Dr. Foster suggested, joining them. "When humans mined the outer planets, they set up communication networks. Triton was a major hub for the outer Sol system. He was sending a message," Freeman realized. But to whom? The answer came from an unexpected source. In a storage room, they found evidence that multiple people had gathered recently. Food wrappers, footprints in the dust, and most disturbing of all, a wall covered in writing. "It's a countdown," Wells said, studying the markings. "And it ended yesterday." A noise from outside sent them rushing back to the landing pad. Through the facility's viewports, they saw a ship rising from the far side of Triton, a vessel unlike anything in the Commonwealth Registry. It was sleek and dark, with markings not seen since the height of human space exploration. "Get back. To the pursuit," Freeman ordered. "We need to track that ship." But before they could reach their vessel, all communications went dead. Their suit comms functioned, but they couldn't reach the pursuit or send any signals off Triton. "We're being jammed," Wells confirmed. Through the viewport, they watched helplessly as the unknown vessel accelerated away from Triton, then vanished, in a flash of light that suggested a jump drive far more advanced than Commonwealth technology. "Did you see that?" Foster asked, her voice hushed with awe. "The energy signature. Nothing in our scientific record suggests a drive that efficient." When they finally restored communications and returned to the pursuit, they reviewed the facility's security footage. The images showed Carter meeting with 5 others who looked human. They spoke together, worked on equipment, and departed on the unknown vessel just minutes before Freeman's team arrived. Back on the pursuit, Wells analyzed every scrap of data they had gathered. "The coordinates hidden in the data breaches," she said, bringing up a star chart. "They point to a location in deep space beyond Commonwealth borders." "There's nothing there," Freeman said, studying the map. "Just empty space." "That's what our maps show," Brooks agreed. "But look at this." He overlaid an ancient star chart recovered from the Triton facility. In old human charts, that region had a name: the Reach. Why would they lead us there? Foster wondered. "Maybe it's a trap," Wells suggested. "Or maybe it's their home," Freeman finished. "If humans have survived all this time, they'd need a place to live, somewhere hidden." She made her decision. "We're taking this information back to Commonwealth Central. The Council needs to see what we found." As the pursuit turned away from the Sol system, Freeman stared out at the stars. The official history book said humanity had died out centuries ago, but the evidence suggested a different story, one where humans hadn't gone extinct, but had instead gone into hiding. And now, for some reason, they wanted to be found. What? Freeman couldn't know was that across Commonwealth space, more systems were being breached. More fragments of coordinates appeared. More whispered messages spread. "We're still here. We've always been here. And it's time for us to return." The Commonwealth Security Council chamber erupted in heated debate after Captain Freeman presented her findings. Representatives from 12 species argued loudly about what should be done. "This is clearly a security threat," shouted Counselor Zarn, slamming his scaled fist on the table. "If humans have survived and hidden all this time, they must have reasons. Reasons we should be concerned about. Or perhaps reasons we should understand before judging," countered Counselor Vela, more calmly. Humans were known for their resourcefulness. Their survival could be valuable to the Commonwealth. Director Jackson watched the arguments fly back and forth. After an hour, he called for order. "Fighting amongst ourselves solves nothing," he said firmly. "We need more information. Captain Freeman's report suggests these humans are trying to make contact by leaving coordinates. I propose we send a mission to investigate." "It could be a trap," warned the Draconid military advisor. "Or a chance for a historic reunion," said Dr. Foster, who had been invited to speak. "The Commonwealth has always prided itself on peaceful first contact with new species. Why should this be different just because we thought humans were extinct?" "These aren't newly discovered beings," Zarn argued. "These are humans who hid from the rest of the galaxy for centuries. Why reveal themselves now?" The debate continued for days. Outside the council chambers, news of possible human survivors leaked to the public. Across Commonwealth worlds, people reacted with a mix of fear, excitement, and disbelief. Ancient stories about humans were suddenly popular again. both the inspiring tales of human achievement and the frightening accounts of human warfare. In her quarters, Dr. Foster reviewed everything known about the Terran collapse. The official history said Earth had become uninhabitable due to environmental disaster. Human colonies had struggled with limited resources. Wars broke out, diseases spread, birth rates fell. The last colonies slowly died out over generations, until only a handful of very elderly humans remained. But what if that wasn't the whole story? Foster was interrupted by a message from Kevin Brooks, the anthropologist. "Doctor, I found something in the archives that might interest you." They met in a small research lab where Brooks had set up several displays. "I've been digging through ancient human records," he explained, looking at their final years. "Most records show exactly what we'd expect: struggling colonies, declining population. But I found references to a project that doesn't appear in the official history." He brought up an old document. "It's called the Phoenix Protocol. Most details are heavily redacted, but it appears to have been a contingency plan in case of catastrophic threats to human existence." "A survival plan?" Foster asked. "Possibly. And there's more." Brooks showed her another document. "This is a list of humans who were supposedly the last of their kind. Official records show they all died, of natural causes. But look at their profiles. All military personnel with advanced scientific backgrounds. Exactly the kind of people you'd want if you were planning to rebuild a civilization." Foster took this information to Captain Freeman, who was preparing to lead a mission to the coordinates found in the data breaches. "The Council has authorized a mission to the Reach," Freeman told her. "They're sending the Endeavor, our most advanced exploration vessel. I'll be commanding, and they've approved your request to join the mission." "What changed their minds?" Foster asked. "More data breaches," Freeman explained. "Commonwealth defense. Systems detected attempts to access weapons platforms yesterday. Nothing was damaged, but it scared the Council enough to take action. The team assembled aboard the Endeavor included Samantha Wells, Kevin Brooks, and several military officers and scientists. Director Jackson came to see them off. Your mission is to investigate these coordinates and determine if humans have indeed survived, he told them. If so, establish peaceful contact if possible. But your primary duty is to the Commonwealth. If you determine these beings pose a threat, you are authorized to take defensive action and return immediately. The journey to the Reach took 8 days. As they approached the coordinates, scans showed nothing unusual. Empty space, reported Eric Russell from navigation. No planets, no stations, nothing but normal background radiation. Could the coordinates be wrong? Freeman asked. Wells shook her head. No, I triple-checked them. This is exactly where the data fragments led. Maybe we need to look differently, Foster suggested. Commander Carter mentioned Earth's Deep Space Initiative. They were known for experimental technology, including stealth systems. Freeman ordered a full sensor sweep using every detection method available. Still nothing. Maybe we should try something simpler, Brooks said after hours of fruitless searching. Human communication methods. What do you mean? Freeman asked. Before advanced technology, humans used radio waves for communication. Very primitive but effective over long distances in space. Freeman authorized the attempt. Set our communications array to broadcast on old human frequencies. Use a simple greeting in English. For hours, they broadcast their message and waited. Just as they were about to give up, a reply came. Not as a transmission, but as a pulse of energy on a subspace frequency unused since the human era. Someone's out there, Wells said, studying the readings. That pulse is artificial, and it's coming from nowhere. The pulse repeated 3 times, then stopped. Moments later, the space before them shimmered. Where there had been nothing, a massive structure appeared, a space station of impossible size and advanced design. A transmission came through on the frequency they had been using. Commonwealth Vessel Endeavor. This is New Earth Station. We've been expecting you. Prepare to receive boarding instructions. The crew stared in stunned silence at the massive station now visible on their screens. It was larger than any space station in the Commonwealth, with elegant curves and structures that seemed to defy the normal rules of engineering. It was cloaked, Wells whispered in awe. Technology that advanced hasn't been seen since humanity was at its peak, Brooks finished. Freeman composed herself and responded to the transmission. New Earth Station, this is Captain Lisa Freeman of the Commonwealth vessel Endeavour. We receive you. We come in peace and seek dialogue. Landing bay coordinates transmitted, came the reply. You may bring a small team. We welcome you to the key, first human outpost in this sector of space. Foster could hardly believe what she was hearing. After centuries of believing humans were extinct, she was about to meet living examples of the species she had studied her entire career. As they prepared a shuttle to dock with the station, Freeman selected her landing party. Herself, Foster, Brooks, and Wells, along with 2 security officers. Remember, she told them, we represent the Commonwealth. Whatever happens, whatever we find, our mission is peaceful contact and information gathering. The shuttle approached the massive station. As they drew closer, they could see the incredible detail of its construction, a blend of efficiency and beauty that had always been a hallmark of the best human design. The landing bay opened to receive them. Inside, they saw a group of figures, waiting. They appeared human, but until genetic confirmation, Freeman remained cautious. The shuttle landed and the team prepared to disembark. Foster felt her heart racing. If these truly were humans, history would need to be rewritten. The question that burned in her mind was simple but profound. Why had they hidden for so long? And why choose now to reveal themselves? The shuttle door opened and they stepped out to meet the descendants of a species the galaxy had thought lost forever. The landing bay of New Earth Station was brightly lit and spotlessly clean. Captain Freeman led her team forward to meet the 6 people waiting for them. They looked human in every way, but there was something different about them. A certain grace in how they moved, a clarity in their eyes. A woman stepped forward. She wore a simple dark uniform with a small symbol on the chest, a phoenix rising from flames. I am Commander Elizabeth Walsh, Director of External Relations for the Human Continuity Initiative, she said. Welcome to New Earth Station. We've waited a long time for this meeting. Freeman introduced her team. I am Captain Lisa Freeman of the Commonwealth Exploration Vessel Endeavour. This is Dr. Elaine Foster, Kevin Brooks, Samantha Wells, and security officers Ben Harper and Olivia Reed. Walsh nodded to each of them. Please follow me. There's much to explain. They walked through wide corridors filled with people going about their daily business. Some stopped to stare at the visitors, the first non-humans many of them had ever seen. Your station is remarkable, Foster said, looking at the design and technology around them. How long has it been here? This station has existed for nearly 300 years, Walsh replied. But our presence in this region goes back even further. They entered a large meeting room with a window that looked out into space. On the table sat refreshments and data tablets. You must have questions, Walsh said. I'll try to answer them honestly. We owe you that much. Let's start with the obvious, Freeman said. The Commonwealth has records showing humanity went extinct over 3 centuries ago. Yet here you are. Walsh nodded. Those records show what we wanted the galaxy to believe. The truth is more complicated. She brought up a holographic display showing Earth in its final days, a planet ravaged by environmental disaster and war. As our homeworld died, humanity faced a choice, Walsh explained. Our colonies were struggling, resources were limited, and frankly, our reputation in the galaxy was problematic. Humans were feared, Brooks said, seen as unpredictable, dangerous. Yes, Walsh agreed. Many species worried about human expansion and ambition. Some were already discussing preventive measures against us. So you faked your extinction? Wells asked, disbelief in her voice. Not exactly. We enacted the Phoenix Protocol, a long-planned contingency for humanity's survival. Selected individuals underwent genetic modifications to better adapt to space. We went into hiding, allowing the rest of humanity to follow its natural course toward extinction. While you built all this, Foster said, gesturing around them. Walsh nodded. We developed technologies in isolation. We watched the Commonwealth form and grow, and occasionally, when necessary, we helped from the shadows. Helped. How? Freeman asked, suspicion in her voice. Instead of answering directly, Walsh brought up another display showing major events in Commonwealth history. The Proxima Plague, the Centauri Civil War, the Arcturus energy crisis. Do you see the pattern? Walsh asked. In each of these events, breakthrough solutions appeared at crucial moments, solutions that seemed to come from nowhere. Foster's eyes widened. You're saying humans were behind those advances? Not directly. We worked through intermediaries. We shared technologies when they were needed most, but always anonymously. Why reveal yourselves now? Freeman asked. After centuries of hiding, why reach out to us? Walsh's expression grew serious. Because what's coming requires all of us to work together openly. She changed the display to show deep space readings from beyond the edge of the galaxy. Strange. Energy patterns moved like storm clouds. We call them the void, Walsh said. They're not a species as you understand it, more like a force of nature with purpose. We encountered them before at the edge of our solar system, in the early days of human space exploration. The encounter almost destroyed us. I've never heard of such a thing, Brooks said. Few have. The records were lost in the collapse. But we preserved the knowledge and we've been monitoring for their return. Now they're back and moving toward Commonwealth space. The room fell silent as they absorbed this information. You could have just sent a warning, Freeman said finally. Why the elaborate reveal? Why Commander Carter and the stasis pod? Would you have believed a warning from ghosts? Walsh asked. We needed to establish contact in a way that would be taken seriously. The pod was bait, ancient enough to interest a xenoarchaeologist, advanced enough to surprise your scientists. And Carter? Foster asked. A volunteer. His mission was to be discovered, to leave breadcrumbs leading you. Here. Freeman looked troubled. The Commonwealth Council will need more than your word about this threat. Of course, Walsh said. We've prepared detailed information about the void and our proposals for cooperation. We don't expect trust overnight. Centuries of secrets don't vanish in a single meeting. As they talked, a young man entered the room and whispered something to Walsh. Her face grew concerned. It seems events are moving faster than anticipated, she said. Long-range sensors have detected void activity at the edge of Commonwealth space. We have perhaps 6 months before first contact. Freeman stood. I need to report this to the Council. Immediately. Your ship has been provided with data packets containing everything we know about the void, Walsh said, and an official request from the Human Continuity Initiative for diplomatic recognition and alliance. As they prepared to leave, Foster lingered behind. There's one thing I don't understand, she said to Walsh. How many of you are there? Walsh smiled. More than you might think. We have settlements in 12 different star systems beyond Commonwealth borders. Nearly 20 million humans in total. Foster was stunned. 20 million? How did you maintain such numbers in secret? Very carefully, Walsh replied. And with significant genetic engineering. We're still human, but adapted. Longer lives. Enhanced resilience. Lower resource needs. The Commonwealth will have to reconcile with this new reality, Foster said. Many will struggle with the idea that humans have been watching from the shadows all this time. We understand, Walsh said. But facing the void will require all sentient species to work together. Old fears and grudges won't serve any of us. Back on the Endeavor, Freeman prepared her report for the Council. This changes everything, she told her team. The history we thought we knew was incomplete. Not just history, Brooks said. The future, too. If these humans are right about this void, we're facing something none of our species has encountered before. Foster looked out at the massive station through the view screen. For centuries, humanity had been considered extinct. A footnote in galactic history. Now they had returned, bringing warnings of a threat only they remembered. Whatever happens next, she said, the Commonwealth will never be the same. As the Endeavor departed, carrying news that would shake the foundations of 12 civilizations, Walsh watched from the station's observation deck. Behind her stood William Carter, the man who had emerged from the stasis pod. Do you think they'll believe us? He asked. They'll have to, she replied. The void gives no second chances. And after? If we survive? Walsh considered the question. Then humanity rejoins the galactic community. No more hiding, no more shadows. Some of us have been hiding so long we've forgotten how to live in the light, Carter said. Walsh turned to look at the stars. Then we'll learn again. That's what humans have always done best. Adapt, evolve, survive. It's how we've lasted this long. As the Commonwealth vessel disappeared into the distance, a new chapter in galactic history began. One where a species thought lost forever would help face a threat from beyond the stars, rewriting the galaxy's future by revealing its hidden past.